welcome to Sydney.
But thank you for joining me on the Rocks Express. Behind me is a very, very, very important and significant mural. Doesn't look like much right now. Might look like a nice backdrop, but it's actually a face. Can you see the beginnings of the face there? You can see his name down here at the bottom of the mural. But Jack Mundy is someone whom we celebrate greatly because he was the gentleman who helped to save the rocks. Because in the 1960s and 70s, the rocks as we know it was going to be removed. I'm going to show you a model later of what it was going to look like. But if it wasn't for this great man, you can see that it's within 2 parts of the staircase. See people walking up and down it. And Jack passed away last year. He was 96 years old. But what this mural represents is that he is an absolute part of the rocks. He's embedded into the rocks. What he did to save this area was so important for our country, for our heritage value. I have to start the tour by saying that, because everything of what we're going to see today wouldn't even be here without Jack. So let's start our tour, shall we? We're walking along George Street. The city has allowed these wonderful pubs and restaurants to extend themselves out into the street. So we were once driving on this road here that is now part of the footpath. Isn't that great? You can't actually drive through the rocks anymore. You have to sit here and have a beer. Love it. Every pub in the rocks claims to be the oldest of something. Well, the Fortune of War is the oldest pub. A great place to have a beer. This beautiful building here that we're looking at is the Museum of Contemporary Art. We're heading towards the Suez Canal. And one of my favourite pubs of all, which is the Phillip's Foot. Phillip's Foot gets its name because Arthur Phillip was the first Englishman to set foot on Circular Quay, and so named his pub after him. What I love about Phillip's Foot is the barbecues in the back, and I'm going to show you it in a minute. I wonder if Nathan's there. Hi, Nathan. Okay, you're meeting one of the publicans, one of my favourite publicans in all of the rocks. This is Nathan, who runs. We're on a virtual tour, Nathan.
Oh, okay, we're looking forward to a nice sunny Friday afternoon.
Oh, it's a beautiful day. Well, we're going to go around the back and have a look at your barbecues in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, enjoy. Great pub, I love this place, full of memorabilia. And when you go upstairs, you can see even more. G'day. Hi, guys. The Suez Canal, because this is where people would throw their toilet down the street when it rained. She says, "Struth, Liz, just fancy a bloke wearing a hat like that in the street." The people who used to hang out in this laneway were really, really dangerous. Push gang members wore very smart clothing, sharp hats and pointy boots and bell-bottom pants. But you did not want to run into one of these guys in this lane or any lane in the rocks. At night time, you can see those blue luminous lights behind the figurists. Makes this lane even more eerie. It was not a place to be walking at night, because if you ran into one of these push gang members, it would be highly likely that you wouldn't survive till the end of the lane. We are now at the back of Nathan's pub, Phillip's Foot, but this is what's fabulous. So if we went back down there, you would be at the main bar where we saw Nathan. But we are going to walk up into the cookhouse. Hi guys, are you enjoying? We're on a virtual tour. There's people from all over Australia watching this. This looks very civilised. Where are you from? Dangar Island, Bondi. Oh wow. Well, enjoy your lunch. Bye. So up here at the cookhouse, look at this. You can cook your own food on the barbecue. It's like a real old-fashioned country kitchen. Can you imagine all the family gathering around a big table here? I love this. So what happens is you come and pick your steak, and then you've got also roast pork.
That pork roll was one of the best pork rolls I have ever had, honestly.
Yum. Such good. In the summertime, they have salad bar over there as well. But this, oh, and out here is where it extends. Behind George Street and down the back laneways, these beautiful old cobblestone streets that haven't been altered since they were put down way back in the late 1700s. We are walking through a little laneway here called Greenway Lane. There's a wonderful story here because Greenway was, you might know, the famous architect who assisted Lachlan Macquarie to build his Sydney. So Macquarie came in 1810 and stayed until 1821. And Francis Greenway was sent out here as a convict, but he was an architect. So of course he was going to be quite useful for Macquarie. So Macquarie had this great dream to build the most brilliant British colony in the world. This is what Greenway built back in Bristol. This is what made him famous, and probably where he got busted for fraud and as to why he got put on a ship and sent out here. Macquarie said, build me a lighthouse and if it's good, I will give you a pardon and we'll get together on lots of other things. So this was the fantastic lighthouse. And if you look out towards the east from Sydney, if you're high enough, you'll see what we call the Macquarie Lighthouse. It was built in 1816. It opened in 1817. And then they went on to build all of this. You might know this particular building, the stables. Well, it was the government stables, pretty elaborate looking building. This is what got Macquarie into a bit of trouble. Because when England got wind of Macquarie building this for his horses, look at it. It's more elaborate than his own home. He pretty much got fired because of this, or this was the beginning of the end for him. He was a bit extravagant, Macquarie. I love it. And then you go out to Windsor, Hyde Park Barracks, of course, you all know that's just been completely refurbished. Wonderful building to go and explore now if you happen to be in Sydney. Fort Macquarie is what used to be where the Opera House is. Dawes Point Battery, this is underneath the Harbour Bridge now. The only thing you see there is cannons. That was what Greenway built. Brilliant. All these fantastic buildings right up until 1823. Move further up here up to Argyle Street, and we're going to come back down this lane eventually, but we're walking past the visitor centre. If you happen to be here in Sydney and you've got no idea where something is, come and talk to the friendly staff at the Sydney Visitor Centre. They will be here to help. You're on a virtual tour. We've got people from all over the country watching this. Keep up the good work. Enjoy your weekend. Bye. This is looking back down. This is a great pub here too, the tap rooms. Fantastic that they actually brew their own beer there, and they have a smokehouse in the back. Martina knows that place, don't you? It was also on the tour.
Yes, I remember going to that smokehouse. That meat is just to die for.
Thank you. It's always so much better when someone else has been on one of our tours and it doesn't sound like we're always raving on how fabulous we are. Yeah. Once upon a time, this road that I'm about to walk on was a rock wall. You couldn't see through there. It's as thick as the tunnel is. Convicts were told to cut through it with a chisel and hammer. They thought they might be able to do it all with convict labour. Of course, that was impossible, so they ended up blowing it away with dynamite. And that would make a much easier passageway to get the goods from Millers Point back down to the Rocks and Circular Quay, where the colony was, where the people were living.
And can anyone guess how many steps are here? Or Helen, do you know how many steps you're actually walking?
Oh, you know what? I have never really. Have you counted them?
No, I remember thinking last time I was there, it was a hell of a lot of steps, but I wonder how many there are.
Well, how about I'm going to walk back up there later. That's going to be my homework, and I'll tell you how many stairs are on the Argyle stairs. Now, this next little area is very special. So when they started to develop the rocks, what they found while they were ripping everything up were the foundations of some homes. And down here you can see the numbers of the houses. And they go all the way to number 8. This is like a little model or artistic impression of what the homes would have looked like. So you go in through the front door here and you're upstairs on a 3-story terrace, and you look down on the foundations of about 3 homes. I'm going to take a walk through there in a minute. You can see what they've done. They've put these oversized furniture in there. So I'm going to take you over there because it's really quite a stunning view of the harbour and the wonderful architecture that we have. So here we are on the top of Foundation Park. I'm going to go down these very steep stairs and over here. Actually, we're halfway through here and I'm just walking down and show you the map that I have, just show you, to give you an impression of where we are. And actually, as we go downstairs, so this would have been like the back area where the laundry was. And when we go, oh yeah, you can even see through here, like there's an old fireplace there, like a bit random. You can see even more from down there where that gentleman is. So I'm going to over here is where you start to get a feeling as to why we call this area the Rocks. You can take it all off mute if you want. Now let me show you. Can you see that photo?
Excellent. Yep. It's very small on screen. Oh, I can enlarge it. Did you enlarge it?
I did enlarge it.
I did.
Oh, good. Okay, so you can see the Opera House over to the right. You can see the yellow line going through the middle of the rocks here. That's the bridge. See where the cross is in the highlighted area?
Yep.
The cross. That's where I am exactly. In Foundation Park. We started, so you can see the Museum of Contemporary Art there, just to the right of that, down there. And then you can see all the piers of Circular Quay. So we started the tour pretty much just to the left of the Museum of Contemporary Art, and you can see that's George Street. So you can see we haven't really travelled very far, but there's so much to see just within this little space. And then what we're going to do from here is go around the backs. We're going to go down the stairs from where we are now here at Foundation Park, and then we'll kind of nearly head towards the water. Actually, we're going to end up over near the water where it says Mundy. That's where we're going to end up. So, but the whole area, you can even see Barangaroo over here, the beautiful Barangaroo. We'll go and do a tour there one day, walk around there because it's amazing. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that just to give you an impression. So, anyone got any questions? I'm not going to be able to.
No, what I will say, I really, as I know I've done the tour and I've done Rags to Riches, but to see that map makes such a clear difference to actually understand the route. So very good.
Yeah, the map is good.
Good. I'm glad. Shall we continue on, or?
Yes, absolutely.
So just put yourself back on mute, and Martina, I will put you back as host. Hang on. Where is it? Oop. Nearly gave that to Dad. Yep. Are you up for that, Dad? All right. I'll turn the camera around and we're going to continue on. Right. Oh, by the way, there is what the dig looked at like when they started to find. This is what it looked like before, when they started to demolish it. And then as they were, this is the like the archaeological site where they start to find incredible things. This is what the rocks was going to look like. And there are all the proud politicians who were going to make it happen before Jack Mundy came in and went, I don't think so. I got a better photo of that as we move further along. The Rocks is called the Rocks because when Arthur Phillip sailed into Sydney Harbour in 1788, he observed this whole peninsula that we are now walking around to look like a big chunk of rock. And this kind of is where you get the impression. Everything's been cut into the rock. Let's go through here. Oh, look at the kids. They're on an excursion to learn what it was like to live as a convict back in 1788. They all get given roles. I love it. We're on Playfair Street, and this is where the markets are in full swing tomorrow. But at the back here is where you get to see some of these beautiful homes that have been preserved, that are now office buildings and restaurants. Sirius Tower. It's empty. Watch this space. It's going to be really interesting to see what comes of that. Prime real estate overlooking all of Circular Quay. This is cute, isn't it? The tea cozy. Oh, look, my favourite, Doris Day. I love her. This is a great place. Isn't it cute? You can have a high tea. Scones. Isn't this all? I love this, what they've done here.
And Helen, what's the name of this place where you can have a high tea with Doris Day?
It's called the Tea Cozy.
Tea Cozy.
I'll just go in and zoom in on the logo. There you go.
Beautiful. What a spectacular day to be doing that today.
Hey, look, Mum. You can knit. I've got, you can do some knitting while you're here. How cute's that? Huh, love it. You know, instead of having some paper on the table to scribble on, you can actually knit. Isn't that beautiful? But what I want to show you right here is this. You see the ground? It is part of the road, but it's only a very small part of the road. They thought if you used timber, laid timber down, it would be a better surface. And the problem was that in the winter months, people would get cold and they wanted wood for their fires. So they would come on down here to the road and rip up the timber, take it back home. And unfortunately, it was just getting too expensive to maintain. So it didn't last. But brick boys, or block boys as they were called, sorry, were the young lads who helped the council, as they were, to lay the timber. This was George Street back in the day. You see the boys helping here, helping lay the timber down. It was a constant maintenance project here in the Rocks. Getting closer to the bridge there. Just wanted to show you that because if you happen to be walking past here, just near where the markets actually used to be, we don't have the markets established anymore, but this is the very northern part of George Street, the fine food store. This is where you want to come if you're desperate for the best coffee in the Rocks. These guys definitely do that, and amazing food. This is what we call Kendall Lane down here. This mural I love this mural. I'll show. It's very important part of the Rocks tour. I think you've got to see it because it really gives you an impression of the timeline. There's our First Nations, very, very happy, looking out the ships that are coming in. 1788. And then the town starts to be formed. 1816, this is Macquarie's time. Look how the rolling hills look like a picture of England. Well, that's what Macquarie wanted to tell the English and the Britons, actually, to come on over here, because it's just like home, but better because the weather's fabulous, and they were trying to get more people to come and live here. And then, of course, towards 1900, just before First World War, this is between the wars, the bridge is opened, and then you come around the corner and you see Sydney today. It's beautiful, beautiful mural. Right next to the Rocks Discovery Museum, which I highly recommend you come and see, because this museum gives you a wonderful impression of not only Sydney, but Australia. And it's set out in chronological order. We're downstairs here, and I'm probably going to see too much reflection to see inside here, but as you can see, it's all about our First Nations. This is a model of one of their canoes, quite true. You can even see the fire pits at the end of each part of the canoe where they would cook their fish after catching it. It's probably a bit hard for you to see. But I love this museum because it really doesn't miss a beat. It shows you everything that went on here prior to European settlement. And they've still kept the building the same as it was right up until today. By the way, there's a beautiful impression of Jack Mundy being dragged out of a protest march. You can see how dignified he is as he's being got his arms and legs crossed as the cops are dragging him out. But there's probably a better picture of the model of the rocks that was going to happen. Can you see that? Bit of a reflection there. Go down to the water because you cannot do a tour of Sydney without seeing the two famous icons, the bridge and the Opera House. So bear with me as we walk on down to the water, the delightful circular quay that never gets dull. Oh, it's like summer here. So beautiful. Looking back at where we just were, Argyle Street. It's about 23 degrees here today. It feels like summer. Can anyone guess what this tree is? It's very old. It comes from the Jurassic period. Back in 1994, they found these trees in what we now call, actually I can't tell you the name of the national park because I'll give it away. But it's just north of the Blue Mountains. They found a cluster of 30 of these trees. Can I zoom in a little bit? Can you see them? It's a pine.
Columbi pine.
Well done, Val. Terrific. This is an amazing tree. We have them here. You can actually now cultivate them. You can grow one in your own backyard. But there was only 30 in the world as we know it back in 1994. And this is Cadman's Cottage. Can you imagine that the water line was right here? Cadman's Cottage isn't being used today. It was being used by national parks. There's Auntie Margaret, my good friend. This is what the view was like from Cadman's Cottage in 1819. Circular quay.
So who lived in Cadman's Cottage?
Oh yeah, good question. John Cadman. He was the coxswain. He was in charge of all the ships coming in out of the Sydney harbour area. There's our fantastic bridge. I'm looking at those flags and I'm thinking it's 20 knots. I wish I was on the harbour. I wish I was sailing. This is the overseas passenger terminal. Ship after ship after ship every single day was coming through here. It was absolutely crazy, chaotic. Cars, taxis, buses picking up, trucks. Anyway, we're coming on down here to Circular Quay. And there she is. And there is the bridge. So we are in the beautiful Sydney Harbour's Circular Quay. We are coming to the end of our tour, Rocks Express tour, and we have nailed it right down to the minute. Our next virtual tour is going to be on an e-bike from the Sydney Fish Markets to Barangaroo. What an absolute pleasure it has been to have you walk with me and enjoy our beautiful city. We're going to do a virtual tour every month, once a month, on a Saturday or a Sunday. They are recorded for people to watch later, but I think they're so much fun to be on. You guys can come back and go into Nathan's pub and say, I met you on a virtual tour. That we're here, not going anywhere, and we can't wait to host you in person when you can finally be here one day.
I just wanted to let you know I could hear everything that you said.
Yay!
And, when you're on the camera.
Lovely.
So thank you, Martina.
Okay.
We are very excited about running together. She's actually the ultimately Melbourne portion of this umbrella.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to doing more and more of these as a combined, ultimately Sydney, ultimately Melbourne. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Martine. Thanks, Hal.
Thank you,
Okay.
Martina.
Thank you, everyone, for joining, and
great.
we'll speak to you later.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Joe.
Okay. Bye.